We'll call this work session Monday, April 4th to order. Invocation given by Ms. Tolliver and the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Ashford.
May we bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day. Lord, I want to thank you for the many blessings you have in store for our city. Father, I want to thank you for keeping your arms of protection around our first responders and everyone that makes up this great community. Father, I just want to ask you to continue to take care of the people that's overseas. And Father, whatever you have in store for our city, Father, let it be great things. I ask this of you in Jesus' name. I pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. First thing tonight, Mr. John Dietz, Mountaintop Dispensary.
That's reading material for later. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me have your time tonight. My name is John Dietz. I'm the owner of Mountaintop Dispensary. We're located at 2410 East Willow Street here in Scottsboro. We're a new business in your city, and we're glad to be here. A little bit about myself. I grew up in a small rural northwest Missouri town, north of Kansas City, working on a farm alongside the Missouri River, both raising beef and numerous row crop. And then after that, I graduated high school, going on to Missouri University to pursue a degree in computer science and engineering. Then by 2009, I majored a second time to receive a master's in biology focusing on organic chemistry. Over the course of 15 years, I've worked in numerous roles in the private sector, vice president of operations and technology, board of directors for several well-known nonprofit organizations. I've done government affairs and policy analyst. I've also been a consultant and project manager for collegiate departments deploying software systems which are even used here today in Alabama. As a former 22-year cigarette smoker, I found a technology that helped me quit smoking cigarettes, and shortly thereafter I opened a chain of electronic cigarette shops up over in Tennessee, a total of 12 locations in which we had started that venue from a flea market. History of Mountaintop Dispensary. Yesterday marks 1 year of us being here as residents in Scottsboro and having our new business ready to open by next month. We would invite everyone in this room to our grand opening on Saturday, June the 11th, to tour our facility, and we've provided a couple of brochures and flyers about that. Give you more details about us, our staff, what we're about, who we are, and what we plan to provide the community. I chose Scottsboro to relocate because of three things: its charm, its growth, and its core values. It kind of reminds me of where I grew up when I was a kid. And it's really good down-home Americana presence. This place is not only where one could feel that they could succeed in a business venture again, but also help others, and that's the main core philosophy in our business. Our largest demographic for customers in our retail sector are men and women of 52 to 86 years of age who are in pain, having neuro disorders, terminal illnesses, and those trying to combat opiate addiction, followed by men and women 35 through 48 years of age in physically demanding trade work. Lastly, parents with 8 children ages 2 through 16 who may suffer from autism, severe bipolar, attention deficit disorder, children with epilepsy, and children with cancer diagnosis. Our company business plan is to donate 7% of its profits every year into the community here in Scottsboro in some way, shape, or form. To this date of our company in Tennessee, our location in Tennessee, we've donated $43,312.82 in just over 2.5 years. Just over this weekend, we were able to raise funds during the trade day on the square for a young woman fighting for a liver transplant. Life and quality of life are very precious to us, and hence why we have resorted back to my roots in agriculture and science. I believe in the products that we manufacture to have a benefit to many people's everyday lives, And those are our core philosophies on our principle of our business. Now, as far as jobs are concerned, despite the ongoing economic and employment challenges presented by COVID over the pandemic, a lot of states are just now seeing the workforce return back to its prior numbers. The cannabis continues to be the most powerful job creator here in America, with no other industry coming anywhere close. Bo Whitney of Whitney Economics projects that when marijuana is legalized nationwide, that most of the cannabis industry could support 1.75 million jobs across the United States. Currently, the U.S. cannabis industry now supports 428,000 full-time jobs as of January 1st, 2022, and about 280 jobs per day are filled just last year on average. Most jobs are in the $18 to $24 an hour range with a full range of benefits. Those 428,000 jobs include direct jobs like cultivation, retail sales, or what are often called plant-touching jobs, well as indirect ancillary jobs that are serviced as licensed companies or depend on legal cannabis states. Also include indirect jobs in media, technology platform, public relations, and lobbying, non-cannabis product suppliers, and industry associations. Come September the 1st, this will by far reach a multitude of Alabama. After June, we will be hiring more staff with our sales team for our already established wholesale accounts across the United States in our hemp business. Our retail staff, growing supervisors, lab technicians, office administration, and various general needs and employees for shipping, packaging, and fulfillment. Currently, we have our hemp processing license, and so we are actually growing in another state, shipping it to our state, or purchasing hemp that's grown here in the state of Alabama, processing it, and then distributing it to our wholesale accounts. Our current operations is that we are aimed for products of people needing relief for minor pain, arthritis, anxiety, depression, and plan to expand our operations between now and 2023. On or about September 1st, the Cannabis Commission here in Alabama has been ordered by Governor Kay Ivey to outline their framework for the medical cannabis field in the state, in which we tend to apply for a vertically integrated license. Such license would allow us to grow, harvest, process, and dispense in this state. During the next 4 years, we would plan to scale up to offer 174 to 215 jobs just here in this area, if we can find a suitable building that could be approved by a council or by county council, thus allowing us to germinate, grow, harvest, process, refine materials for the medical cannabis program. This would provide many stable income jobs for this industry, and many positions would become open in the area, attracting other companies such as packaging, labeling, plastics, paper, and other local industries to even be able to benefit from this. Medical cannabis in our state will be available to treat 16 different conditions, including cancer, PTSD, Parkinson's, MS, and epilepsy, just to name a few. Cannabis would also be available as tablets, capsules, gummies, lozenges, topical oils, suppositories, and transdermal patches. Patients could also consume cannabis in nebulizers or vaporizers under the law, but the law is written and currently forbids smoking or vaping medical cannabis or baking it into food. Our personal stance on smoking is that when it's combusted or set fire, it's carcinogenic and thus negating its medical quality. In the coming months, we plan to work closely with medical professionals and pharmacy owners here in the Northeast Alabama area to focus on correct dosages for their patients and consult with the medical community when the need arises. If no age restriction has been set in this city for hemp products or cannabis products, we ask that the city council consider an age restriction to be made place in a city ordinance that all retailers must adhere to a 21 and over policy unless directed otherwise by a medical professional. We don't want to start seeing childlike imagery. We also would like to see a marketing policy set forth in this city or by the county as well to not get these gummy bear cartoony looking characters on people's shelves. We believe that that starts coming into the schools just like vapor products would start coming into the schools. They had a big issue with nicotine back in the 2000s, and it may still be going on. Lastly, I would like to ask the city's consideration to open up dialogue to decriminalize simple possession to a ticket. Recently, Tuscaloosa Police Chief Brent Blankley recommended to Tuscaloosa City Council to lower its penalties on low-level marijuana offenders. It's reported that 2 hours on average to return to the field after making an arrest, which creates a strain in resources that would be alleviated in a big way if officers are given a discretion to issue citations in certain instances, also potentially relieving the court system in a burdening docket. Data shows that the state of Alabama spends $22 million in taxpayer money every year for enforcing simple marijuana laws that are becoming increasingly archaic when compared to laws that are existing currently in other states. I do thank you for your time this evening and allowing me to introduce myself and my company. We strive to educate the public in hopes that we can roll back the stigma of what cannabis is, it has to offer in its ways of health, science, and even other manufactured products. We're happy to be here and have enjoyed the welcome of the community, and I turn it back over. If you all need any questions of me, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Dietz. Anyone have any questions for him in this situation? None. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Number 2, discuss tourism grant application from the Scottsboro Jackson County Rescue Squad. Mr. Teague.
Eddie Tiggs, Scottsboro Jackson County Rescue Squad. We applied for the tourism grant for our bass tournament for this year. This will be our 11th annual tournament at Goose Pond. We've been able to draw people from as far off as Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, all outlying states around us, Florida even. We think it's a good thing. It's a good fundraiser for us. It promotes Scottsboro in a good way. Good facilities to use down there, probably some of the better facilities we got on Gunnersville Lake, even much better than what we have in Gunnersville.
Yeah.
So, just like y'all consider our application and
Anyone have any questions about this 11th annual tournament? Not hearing none, we'll put that on next week's meeting. Thank you. Number 3, discuss the budget amendment for the IT director's vehicle. Mr. Seaver.
So this is just a budget amendment for me to get a camper shell and a pull-out cargo tray for the truck that I have. And it's just going to allow me to carry all my tools, all my cabling, basically anything I might need at a job when I go on calls and stuff like that. It'll just make the truck a lot more useful for me.
Okay. You see in your packet, the total cost for both of those would, without the tax, would be $5,483. Anyone have any questions on that? Hearing none, we'll move that to next week's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And number 4, we're going to strike, and we're going to move it to the May 2nd meeting to give them more time to get some pricing on that. So we'll move to number 5, discuss budget amendment for the additional building inspector's salary. Mr. Wheeler, will you go over that?
The additional building inspector that you approved back several months ago, that was for an additional building inspector back here in the back. At that time, the amount that we gave you was for a middle-of-the-road salary for that person. When it was opened up, there was some people that were already employed by the city to apply for that job, and one of them was chosen for the job. He was already at above the amount that we gave to you, and according to our policies, if someone is already at an amount above that and the scale that they go to is above the scale that he is on, then we would keep that employee at the same amount of money that he is making at that time. So that has happened. I believe the amount that I gave you was $9,057. So we would need an additional budget amendment for $9,057 to take care of the rest of this year, and then he would just be incorporated in the budget for next year's
Yes.
salary.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on that?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. We'll move that to next week's meeting. Number 6, discuss the budget amendment for the splash pad. Mr. Wood?
Thank you. What we're needing at the splash pad is our electrical panel has been worked on several different times over the past years and is currently now, most of the panel is not working. Fortunately, though, our HMI board is still intact and whole. If that one had been damaged, we would have had very bad news. There's about 18 splash pads that are waiting for those, and they're being told that it's going to be after summer. So we got out on the lucky end. To fix our panel is a cost of $9,305 that we would ask to be put into the splash pad budget.
And there are a lot of kids waiting anxiously.
And that would put us on time for opening Memorial Day weekend.
Great. That's good.
What's wrong with it?
So they have all these different timers on them that the relays are not working. They said it's been struck by lightning a couple different times. We had Billy Womack look at it. We had another electrician out of Hollywood come and look at it, and both of them said it's far more than they can do. So they spent a lot of time looking at it, trying to see if there's any way to get it to work. Yeah, and I think it's been worked around a few too many times, and
They're building you a new board,
Yep.
basically. Okay. Anyone else have any questions on this? Here none, we'll move back to next week's meeting. Thank you. Number 7, discuss the tourism grant application for 2 of the Alabama Bass Nation High School fishing tournaments, one in November of 2022 and one in March of 2023. Ms. Kirkland?
So Alabama Bass Nation High School has come to us with 2 different fishing tournaments. These are both the state championship fishing tournaments. One of them is on November the 11th, 2022, and the other is on March the 18th, 2023. This is a group that we usually work with. They typically have 2 of these tournaments per year. We have just been hosting one of them. The other one is usually in Eufaula, but he would like to do both of them here this year. We just had the previous one on February the 12th. So both of these tournaments are 250 boat tournaments, and both of these tournaments would be $4,500 and 7 hotel rooms. So, do you
7
have any
rooms,
questions?
1 night each.
Yes,
Yeah.
1 night each.
And that's each.
Yes,
Yes.
each.
Anyone have any questions about these? Okay, we'll move those to next week's meeting. Thank you. Number 8, discuss the ALDOT settlement. Mr. Little? This is the one we hate to hear. This is, I think, my second time to get one of these.
We received a bill, or invoice, a couple weeks ago from the Alabama Department of Transportation. It is for administrative work for the A-Trip projects that were done back in 2015, 16, and 18. And if you remember, that's Porter Road, Clemens Road, and Ridgedale Road is what the invoice is for. So this is just a settlement with them to cover the administration costs for those projects.
So you've got 3 different projects, and it's $8,721.26 to close out those 3 projects. Anyone?
As we have stated in the past, they drag their feet on billing us this stuff.
Yes.
You know, one of them we had, the first year I was here was 9 years old.
Yes.
I don't like it, but there's not much of a way you can get around it.
No.
We're gonna play by the state's rules.
If you're gonna take their money, eventually they're gonna get some back. Anyone else have any questions on that? We'll move back to next week's meeting. Thank you.
Their part one's $5,716,000.
Number 9, discuss the garbage truck repairs. Mr. Level.
Thank y'all. I think you have a list of the sheet that Southland has presented for repairs of 840. This truck here does the Wednesday's route. It's an older unit. Just the cost of these repairs to get this truck back on the road is in front of you, which exceeds the value of this truck. We'll be more than happy to get it fixed because we're missing it, but we had proposed something to you a few months ago or a few meetings ago that I'd like for you to consider, before putting this kind of money into this unit. Maybe consider what we tabled, a few meetings ago.
Could we get by a while without fixing this truck?
You can, we're doubling a truck on this route here. We've been getting by for, I guess it's been down for 2.5 months. But what we're doing is we're hurting the trucks that are doubling up too. You know, I'm noticing some repairs coming in on those, but yes, to answer your question, we can get by, we have been getting by.
Mr. President, I'd ask that we put this on the next work session.
Okay.
Have time to think on it.
Now, let me pull that, I hadn't pulled that date yet. Work session will be the 18th. So during that time, we'll look at either fixing this truck or looking at moving on with going ahead and getting the other truck
Right.
during that time.
This truck is a 2008 too, by the way.
All right. All right, we'll move that to next work session then.
The truck that we talked about, that we tabled, it would take care of this Wednesday route along with the new duties that
That is correct. That's what the plan was to start with. We're gonna surplus this anyway. It's our oldest unit.
Is the newer truck available?
This unit, there was one, so I can't answer that till I call them and see. But
Will
if
you be
there's
able-
not, it'd still be nice to get on the list.
Will you be able to handle that before we meet back up?
Yes, ma'am. Find
Okay.
out if there's one
Yes.
available. Yes, ma'am, I will.
Was this on a buyback? I can't remember. I don't.
Was on 2-year, because I had presented the sheet.
We went over that at the SWDA meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cost of this repair would almost, Mr. Bailey, I had spoke with him earlier, will almost fund it for the first year, you know. So that's why I recommended that we didn't repair it.
Anyone else have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Level. That'll conclude the meeting. We'll move straight to delegations. Leslie and Jamie Jordan. Hello.
So we have lived at 356 Bruce Drive. We moved in '06. So from '06 until the end of May, start of June 2018, property was fine. If it rains, the runoff's fine. No worries. It's flat. I have pictures to reference back to 2014. If y'all like to go through them. Our property, there's been water leaks. We've contacted the water board. The sewer department come out and checked it, run lines into the manhole through their pipes. No leaks found there. But there was water in the manhole under and coming in. So we reached back out to the Water, Sewer, and Gas Board. They've come out. They would check for leaks. I think in their reports it says no leaks found. And on one of the reports, it states that no chlorine was found. But one of the water, sewer, and gas workers did indicate there was fluoride. And chlorine over a time, after it, runs for a while, it dissipates and goes away. But there was fluoride found in the water. So currently, the water leak has been stopped. They come out February and March and found the leak up on Sumner. And if I'm not mistaken, that leak on Sumner has been the cause of the problem. We had 3 holes come up on the property up from us on Alan Maple's lot that was coming into our yard, causing the constant flow. And I'm not talking about rainwater flow. I'm talking about if it was coming a heavy downflow. It was just the constant water. So as of now, the damage where the land has sunk and the water standing is 51 feet from the road into our property. So,
All we want them to do is just come out and fix what they messed up. Our driveway is settled, it's slumped over. We've had to cut the end of our driveway out, put a culvert in. They've dug a ditch all the way across. The city, oh, we'll come back and fix that. Well, they never did. We just want them to do the right thing.
Because I don't feel like we're liable.
When you say the city, the water, sewer, and gas board?
Water, sewer, and gas, I mean, that was the root cause, but the street department is the one that come out and dug the ditch.
Okay.
But they had to dig the ditch to move the water off the property.
And thank God they did, because I got out there, me and him, I show a picture where I tried to dig just enough to get the water to run off the property into the service ditch. And I just want, we got a beautification award in September of 2017, and from there forward, it's been hell. You can't mow. We've got our lawnmowers stuck multiple times.
When you do go out and you can cut the grass where it has starting to dry some, I mean, you've got to weed eat at least a third of it, and it's like mosquito haven. It's horrible.
So have you been to Water, Sewer, and Gas about it?
Yes.
Multiple times.
And what
I
did they?
went to file a formal complaint, to get a formal complaint form, and the lady up front said they didn't have one, so then I was called into a room with Mr. Green and Mr. Chandler, and we went over that, had our discussion, and then we asked for all the service calls. I don't believe that's all of the service calls, because I know that the sewer department came out and checked the sewer line. So I believe there may be some previous to that. I'm not sure.
Have you been before the board?
I contacted the board.
Have you been before the board?
No, sir.
I have talked to Mr. Parks personally. He walks our neighborhood constantly, and he said, you know, I've noticed over the last couple of years, I've noticed all this water. I've noticed there's been a problem.
I reached out to Mr. Henshaw, and he said, you know, to make sure, you know, check with the street department, check with the engineer. We talked with Mr. Littles when all of this, I guess, was in 20, when it became such a problem. You know, my concern is the roads are caving in back there where the water, sewer, and gas, I don't get, what do you call it?
Where your water and your sewer lines are run underneath the streets.
They're sinking.
This water leak has followed the sewer line like a French drain.
Yes.
So now even though they've got the water leak stopped, when you have a heavy rain, it goes in the ground and it follows that same tunnel that still comes up in our yard. The way it's designed is the water runoff from above us comes on the opposite side of the street because there's a culvert on the other side to carry the water. On our side of the street, there's no culverts. There's none of that. So we know the water is designed to go this way. And I mean, it's crazy that we're having to go through this to get, you know, somebody just to come out and do what's right.
We would like some kind of French drain or some kind of pipes ran at the front of the property and covered back up. Because in my heart, I don't feel like the leaks have stopped permanently. It's just a short-term situation, in my opinion. I feel like it's not completely stopped and it's going to occur again. And if this has happened and is currently damaged, or I say 51 feet of my property that we can't mow until it dries out, if it goes 50 more feet, then that's at the foundation of my home. And it's going to sink because my ground 51 feet in is already receded. I mean, it's not there. The driveway now slopes to the left. I put pictures in there for that too. We paid to have a culvert put in and the driveway ripped out and the gravel put in so that we can actually cross and get into our driveway.
You could go a month or so without rain, and these holes that she's talking about, some of them were this big, they would still be boiled up with water. But I mean, you know that's not water runoff.
And we had Mr. Bray, who lives on Brad Street, Jim Gross, who lives on Campground, Les Barbie, whose property, his backyard is on the opposite side of the road, so his backyard we face. Billy Beavers is on the corner of Clemens and Bruce. And they have all witnessed the damage over the years, what it's caused to our property. And I had them come today just so that I have proof that this has been a water leak and it has been ongoing. And thank the Lord, it has finally stopped for now, as of the, late February to March. We're just waiting on it to dry out. He tried to mow the other day, and you still can't mow it.
It got so bad at one time, I thought about putting my canoe out there and charging the neighbors 75 cents, just to go across my front yard.
We did have a neighbor.
It's ridiculous.
We had a neighbor kid decide to ride through it on his motorcycle, and I had to put a stop to that.
Mr. Kenner, can you give us some advice on the next step with this?
Well, I think the complainants need to go before the water, sewer, and gas board
Okay.
if they're not satisfied with what they've heard from Mr. Green and Mr. Chandler in regard to the leak, the source of the water, and things like that. While at the same time, I don't think y'all have enough information about anything that the city itself has done through the street department. And that needs to be looked into and information gleaned and reported.
And I do have dates that the street department was there and dug the ditch for us.
I'm not saying that they
Oh,
didn't,
okay.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
the council does not have
I
that
got you.
information yet and needs to get that.
But from what I understand, everything the city did was what you wanted done, right? They got the water off your property and,
Well, they were gonna come back and slope this and make it to where it looked nice, and you
Presentable.
would be able to mow it, no, it was
Okay.
gonna be peaches and cream.
Okay.
Well, they never come back and done anything.
okay.
And I'm sure it's because they're busy, but
Yes.
And
me
the
ask-
water,
They're very
there again,
busy.
the water hasn't stopped, so it's not like it's really been dry enough that they could have.
right.
Okay.
Is this something that, just say the leak that was there caused damage to the roadway? Is there something that makes it currently something that the city can fix?
I don't know if they could fix the road.
As far, as the drainage is what I'm getting to. You were telling me that it needed to go across the road to get to the,
No, that's the way it's traveling now. It's following,
It's following the sewer line now like a French drain, and it's coming up on this side of the road when it's actually.
On your side.
It's designed to go on the other side.
yes.
okay.
And it's, it started at the mailbox, a hole about golf ball size. It was the prettiest, clearest water. Then it went up about 10 feet. There was another. And then the picture I showed you that you have there is the third hole. You
Well-
can stick a 4-foot stick down in it.
What would it take to fix it, I guess is what I'm getting around to.
Our property or
To keep it from being wet on your property all the time.
I feel like we need a French drain or some kind of piping system, culverts, whatever, put in so that it will run off.
So the water that's coming from the ground will go into this pipe and travel off to a drainage ditch that's already on the far side of our
That's
property.
been there since 50-plus years.
Is there a little creek that runs there close to your
It's
house?
what we call a service drain.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay.
where the sewer line runs this way, up beside that drain to where the neighborhood on that side, instead of tying onto the sewer in the front, they tie on in the back.
Okay.
And it crosses the road and goes,
It carries the runoff all the way over into Roseberry.
Okay.
Anything else?
Get the information on
Okay,
the
well-
city aspect and get that to y'all as soon as practicable.
Okay. We'll talk with Mr. Moore and go over that part. And of course, you get back with us after you've met with their board and we'll go from there.
okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
No other delegations. We'll move straight to reports. Mayor?
Just a couple of things from this past week, and I don't know, Mr. Ashburn, were you going to say anything about the Big Bass Splash?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Were you going to say anything about Big Bass Splash?
Big Bass Splash, yeah, we attended that last time. I worked it a couple of days. There was 750 boats there, around 1,500 anglers, and my job was boat checker, so I got to have a conversation with a lot of people and check people from Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. I only checked one boat in 2 days that was local, so it was. And then we went out to eat at a restaurant and run into a lot of them at the local restaurants, so it was a good economic issue for us here.
And the only other thing I was going to add was Trade Day. Ms. Kirkland did a great job with Trade Days this weekend. Had a crowd, and I think everybody, it all worked well, so thank you. That's all I've got, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Dahl?
Yeah, I got a I'd like to ask the mayor for an update on the Goose Pond subdivision. The
Well, they're coming
apartments and
they're
condos.
coming before the planning commission tomorrow night.
Okay.
So, yeah, we
So
need
it's
to wait
still
till,
on?
yeah, we need to wait till they come before the planning commission to,
And then the update on the signs, any news on the signs?
need
Welcome
to check with Mr.
Scottsboro
Little.
signs.
There was a problem with the signs. They have to be breakaway. AlDOT would not approve them. And we're gonna have to get an architect to design a breakaway design so that we can put them up.
But we're gonna use the signs that we have.
Yeah, we're supposed to use the signs, but we can't put them on the right of way
Right.
until they're
without
breakaway.
Breakaway posts. Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Ms. Tolliver?
The only thing I have is, Katie, thank you again for this weekend. It was wonderful going around to the different vendors and talking with them and encouraging them to come back. I promise you I spent a lot of money, and I went to every booth to talk to them. And I do appreciate you and your staff for working and doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ashburn, you got anything else?
What time is the planning commission meeting tomorrow?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. I don't have anything else.
All
Thank you.
right, thank you. Mr. Stewart?
I don't have anything tonight. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Well, and I'll get on Katie's bandwagon too. It was a great time and the first big one of the year, and it was a big crowd. Great job. Appreciate y'all. And with that, appreciate everyone coming out. There'll be a meeting next Monday. With that, we're